Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. I'm coming to you today with a video about all of the lessons that I learned in 2019, 19 lessons to be specific. I feel like I've obviously learned more than 19, but these are the ones that stuck out to me, so I want to go ahead and share them with you today. Let's go ahead and get started. The first one I learned was to slow down. And this lesson I think I learned more recently. I had an accident. I was doing too much as usual, and I hurt myself really bad. And in hurting myself, I realized, like, girl, you really need to slow down. Like, you are trying to manage way too much at one time. So my lesson is to slow down. In that lesson, I just realized that you're really not able to hear from God or understand, the things that's going on inside of you if everything around you is chaotic. If you've constantly got people or things coming at you, or if you're filling your cup with so many responsibilities that you're not really able to tune in, hone in, and be present. So for me, I'll speak for me, in order to be able to truly hear from God, like, I have to calm my mind and calm my surroundings and like really hone in and tune in. And so I've been missing out on a lot spiritually because I'm taking on all these things and it's like a whole lot and it's chaotic and I got so much coming at me that I really can't live in the moment, and I really can't like be present and really enjoy what God has put in front of me. So first lesson is to slow down, ladies. Slow down if you feel like you need to. If you feel like there's something that you could put on the back burner, put it on the back burner for a little bit, regroup, and then, if you feel like it, get back to what you were doing. Okay, so the second lesson I learned in 2019 is that okay is enough. And I don't mean okay as in imperfect. I mean okay as in, okay, that's cool. Because like, I'm the one who be doing too much. Lesson number one, I be doing too much. So like, I always put more into things, conversations, whatever, that I might need to at times. So it's like, okay is enough. You get a response, okay, that's good. Like, you don't have to address everything. You don't have to expect so much. You don't have to do so much. Okay is enough. And that one is a little difficult for me. But as I'm learning to prioritize and choose my battles, I'm okay with being okay and leaving things at okay. Number 3 is more of a self-awareness lesson, and I was able to come into myself a little bit more this year through consciousness, self-awareness. I feel like I'm relatively a self-conscious person, right? Like, I know for the most part how I move and how I think, but taking that to a deeper level in the sense of why I do some of the things that I do and behave in some of the ways and think in some of the ways that I think. And so this lesson for me was an identity type of thing. I can't even explain it, but it's like, I just learned who I am in the sense of I am a wavering type of person. I learned that that's who I am as a person, and that was a really good revelation for me because obviously we are put into situations every day or often in life where we have to make decisions. So my wavering could be a make or break for me, you know what I'm saying? So that was a really good revelation for me. And in order to overcome that, I just learned that I have to eliminate the chaos. Going back to number 1, I gotta eliminate the chaos. Can't be doing all this stuff. Like, you gotta hone in and tune in. So yeah, that's lesson number 3. I'll put the disclaimer out there, like, all these lessons that I learned are like interconnected in some kind of way, so I might refer back to them later in the video. But number 4 is to stay rooted. Like, I learned that because I'm a wavering person, I might get an idea and start the idea, right? And then get all hype about it and be like, it's gonna be so nice and this and that, right? And then I start it and then I don't finish it. And that's just because I'm a wavering person. So number 4 is to stay rooted. And that just means when you get an idea, allow yourself to plant the seed and allow the seeds to stay rooted. Allow the roots to take place so that your plant can grow, your idea can grow, your gift can grow, whatever you're trying to do can grow. Because if you constantly are putting these seeds out and you're not watering them so that they can take root, you're not putting them in the sunlight, you're not doing the work that it takes to keep the plant growing, set that foundation, then you're always going to be hopping from soil to soil, season to season, whatever have you. So that's my lesson. Stay rooted. Do one thing at a time. Lesson number 1. And allow it to plant that seed and allow the seed to take root. Okay, number 5. The 5th lesson I learned this year was to say no. And I learned this in November. Not necessarily that I didn't know it was okay to say no, but just saying no was like and I'm still learning through this, but saying no is just like a thing for me. Like, I don't know, it's just like, it's hard sometimes to say no because it's like you feel like there may be some guilt there, you know what I'm saying? It's like, dang, like I don't want to, but if I don't, then I don't want you to be mad at me or whatever, you know, the guilt, the feelings that come up from saying no. I battle with that all the time. But I learned this year that I had to say no. And I learned this because, again, I was taking on too much and I was doing too much. And I was even doing things that I know in my heart I didn't want to do. I didn't feel like doing, and I didn't have the mental capacity or the energy to do it, but I would do it anyway. And so I learned to say no, period. One of the things I wrote down on my notes for this was to preserve yourself, self-preservation, meaning you have to continuously fill your cup. And I was running off of an empty cup. And another note I wrote was, no more people pleasing. So say no. No more people pleasing. So like, basically that's it, as simple as it sounds. I don't got to do this for you because it makes you feel good. Especially if it's taken from me. If it's draining me, I don't have to do something for you because it's going to make you feel good. In return, making me feel depleted. Now, I don't mind helping. I don't mind doing for. I don't mind having a benevolent spirit. I believe that is something that you should do. You should be a giver. But when it gets to the point where you're giving and you have nothing to give yourself, that's where it becomes a problem. So I learned to say no, and that it's okay to say no and to preserve yourself and fill your cup up so that when you are full, you can pour out to other people. So the 6th lesson I learned was to have perspective. And this kind of ties into the stay rooted lesson that I mentioned before. Having perspective, just for me, it just means like looking at situations not from, so basically zooming out on my situation. So like this camera, I can zoom in and zoom out, right? So I have to zoom out on life sometimes, because when you're in a situation and it's confusing or you're fearful or you don't know which way to go, you can kind of get stuck in that. You know what I'm saying? And so when you zoom out on life and be like, this is the reason why I started this. Oh, okay. This is the reason why I wanted to do this. Then you can get an understanding and be like, the situation I'm in right now is not as bad, or okay, I will be able to move forward and deal with what I'm going through right now because I understand the bigger purpose behind it. Okay, so number 7, I learned that manifestation is real. And like on a whole nother level though. Because like to manifest something means to have the will to do it. Okay. And so I learned in order to manifest those things in my life that I want, not necessarily materialistic things, but to manifest the life that I want, I do have to have the will for it, and I do have to be in it. You know what I'm saying? And understand that it's not always going to be comfortable. It's not always going to be enjoyable. But if I continue to be consistent and work on it and to speak it into existence and have the will and put some effort into it, then I'm going to manifest it. So the 8th lesson I learned this year was timing is everything. I do know that, social media plays a part in timing. So we see somebody with something and it's like, oh man, we got to go get it. It's like an instant gratification type of thing. I'm learning that timing is everything. And so that for me, I take this back to number 1. I don't have to take on everything right now. Timing is everything. I can have an idea and I might have to wait on it. You know what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't mean that it has to be instantly. I have to get into it right now. It just means I have to wait until the time is right. And the time isn't always right for everything. And so I'm learning that, and I'm learning now that I'm actually losing out on time by trying to force so much into this small amount of time. And that's causing me to lose out on time and things in other areas of my life. So yeah, timing is everything. It kind of doesn't make sense when you think about it, because I just said timing is everything. But number 9, the 9th lesson I learned in 2019 was, girl, get up and do it. You don't gotta wait until the stars align. You don't gotta wait until you got this perfect little situation to do what you want to do. Sometimes it's okay to use what you have to get to where you want to be. So yeah, that's number 9. Girl, get up and do it. So in order to get up and do it, I have to plan and prepare. In order to stay rooted in whatever it is that I want to do, I have to plan and prepare. In order to manifest, I feel like I have to plan and prepare. Nothing I do right now, as a mom and as a wife, nothing I do happens successfully without planning and preparation. If we go into the park, plan and prepare. If I want to do a video, plan and prepare. So that's major for me. I coming into adulthood, I didn't learn that early on, like plan and prepare, because I was always just kind of taking things day by day, kind of like free spirited a little bit. But as I'm coming into my role as a mom and as a wife, I'm understanding like you definitely got to plan and prepare. You definitely got to be in a futuristic mindset. So yeah, plan and prepare. Or how I show up for myself is how I show up for other people. So like the wavering, the doubt, the fear, all of those things, like they're in me, so I show up in those ways for other people. Sometimes I can show up doubtful towards my husband or my kids, or you know what I'm saying? So it's just like I had to understand who I am and how I show up for people and the person that I've created myself to be. And I had to take a step back from that and really fine tune that and yeah, preserve myself and understand like, girl, it's the energy. It's the energy that you put out. You know what I'm saying? So, and I don't consider myself to put out bad energy, but there are things, whether we like it or not, that are embedded in us. Some things we have self-inflicted or learned on our own. Some things that we grew up and they were already in us. So I'm just kind of learning to relearn. Number 12 has been like a constant thing for me, especially with having difficulty saying no. And number 12 is setting boundaries. This has been like a thing for me more like inside of my home, like internally. Setting boundaries with my husband, setting boundaries with my kids, creating a routine, being consistent with like bedtime, daily little things that we do, daily tasks, activities, that kind of thing. It's still a work in progress for sure, but that's one thing that I feel like this year I have not necessarily changed, but just I'm starting to notice, there goes that conscious thing. I'm starting to just notice, like, okay, like certain things we gotta pull it together, because if we don't, it's gonna be harder to change it later on. And so if we just create a better routine now, then we'll be better off in the future. So yeah, setting boundaries. Okay, so number 13 is, and I don't want to forget it, so I'm gonna just read it off my phone. You have to know who you are to know where you are going. This goes back into the conscious self-awareness. I understand myself on a whole nother level. And so then that kind of helped me understand what I was saying before about the person that I've created myself to be in relationships, in other relationships. So that was one thing that really helped me do that, was understanding who I am and where I want to go. So I know, like, I want to be an entrepreneur. I know that laziness, procrastination, fear, doubt, wavering, all those things are not conducive to being an entrepreneur, period. And so I had to really understand that and come to know who I am so that I can know where I'm going. The 14th thing that I learned this year was to pray for your spouse. And like, yes, like most people know, like, yeah, pray for your spouse, right? But me and James, we this year worked a lot on personal development, and we're seeing that spiritually and personally we're on different levels than each other. And the thing for me was like, how do I stay connected and stay in unity or unison, whatever, stay together with him on this journey without feeling like we're going in two separate ways. Just pray about it, and you just meet him where he's at. Pray for him where he's at and meet him where he's at. And he's had to do the same thing for me. Praying was the main thing. And like, now it's like I'm sitting up looking at myself, and it's like, dang, I'm here, and like months ago I was praying for that. Or dang, me and him, we doing this and that, and like now we're good. And I prayed for that months ago too. So like, I'm seeing myself and him, we're seeing each other in places that like we was praying for each other months ago, and now we're seeing ourselves in places where we at first we were struggling with, but now we're better off, we're good. So yeah, if you just side note, if you are in a place in your relationship and you're like, dang, like I really feel like I'm kind of taking a couple steps ahead, or my spouse is kind of moving in a pace that I'm not really comfortable with right now, have him or her pray for you, and you pray for yourself and pray for your spouse, and eventually you guys will close the gap. You'll see, you'll close the gap. God will close that gap for you. So okay, so 15 goes back to the firecracker I just mentioned. 15 is to be stoic. Okay, so like as a mom, because it's like with your kids, if you have kids, you know that sometimes it ain't easy, like the nagging, the mommy, and although it's a blessing and I love it, sometimes it can be overwhelming. I spend all day, every day with my kids, so it's like I'm around them all the time, so it's not always fun and loving. It's not always like that. Sometimes they nag each other. Sometimes they nag me. Sometimes they get on my nerves. Sometimes I get on their nerves. But I learned that it ain't got to be clean your stuff up. Go get your... It don't got to be all of that. It could just be listen. Eye contact. Listen. Get your stuff. Pick it up. I'm not going to say it again. And they'll get the message. Now, they do not take me serious at no point. It don't matter if I'm screaming. It don't matter if I'm calm. My kids just love me, and they're around me all the time. So they think I'm like their friend. I'm like their best friend. But I'm learning from my mental and for me, to put out less energy. So listen, pick the stuff up, get it together, get to bed, and that's what it is. And it ain't got to be all that extra stuff. Consistency. I learned, I'm still learning, okay? I'm still changing some behaviors to be consistent. I ain't gonna say I'm perfect because I'm learning and I'm changing every day, but being a mom, being a wife, supporting my husband in my own personal life, I can't say no here and then say yes here. You see what I'm saying? Like I have to be consistent in order to preserve myself. So yeah, being consistent just in all areas. 17 lesson I learned more recently, and that was when I hurt myself. I know you probably have seen me with my hand out, but I hurt my hand really bad, and that was in November. And another lesson that I learned from that was that I don't have to change the outcome, but I do have to recalculate. And this is a good one because it's like, there are things in life, we have our expectations, right? And sometimes we have our plans, and life gets in the way. Things happen, unexpected things, unplanned things happen. And it's like, girl, you ain't got to change your goal and your end result just because it happened. You might have to recalculate a little bit, but you don't have to change the end result just because something happened that was unexpected. Like with my hand, this is my dominant hand, it's my right hand, so I use it for everything. But I got up this morning, put my makeup on with my left hand. Like I'm recalculating, okay? Like I gotta make it work, but it's not gonna work like I thought it was. I just have to recalculate and do it a different way. So yeah. 18, y'all. Okay, we're almost there. Like these braces hurt my mouth. I just got them tight, and so they hurt. They're rubbing up against my gums. I'm talking. I'm trying not to stumble over my words. So 18 is, I don't need to reinvent the wheel. I just need to keep the wheel moving. Like, girl, you ain't got to start all brand new all over again when you want to do something. When you have an idea, like with my channel, like I have all these ideas and things that I want to do with my channel. But it's like, girl, you ain't got to go and start all the way over, stress yourself and start all the way over. Just pick back up where you left off, put a little stank on it, a little umph on it, put a little bit of twist on it, and keep it moving. Okay, guys, we're at 19. Okay, so the last lesson I learned this year, and I don't want to say it's a lesson, but just a revelation, okay? I think that's more fitting. It's just that a lot of 2019 was overcoming myself. A lot of 2019 was breaking personal barriers, mentally, physically. I'm still working on physically. Like, I can't tell you how many thoughts I've had about going vegan and vegetarian or pescatarian. And I start eating right, and then I get off track. So I'm still working on physically, but mentally, I think I'm making way. I think I am taking the necessary steps to be like, those thoughts aren't the best thoughts to have right now. Or, girl, you need an attitude check. Check yourself. Spiritually, too. Like, I really do feel like this year was a thing for me where I've grown spiritually, and I crave God more in my life now. And I have made I think I have made strides and taken steps to improve in those areas. So a lot of 2019 was overcoming myself and understanding who I am. And so I really do feel like now I have a better idea of how to move forward in 2020, and I'm able to lay the foundation and plant that seed now. And I believe in 2020 it's going to take root, and I'm going to be consistent, and I'm going to overcome, and I'm going to manifest. And all of those things that I mentioned, 1 through 18, those things I'm going to do. I'm going to set those boundaries. I won't be fearful. I will not be wavering. My relationships, I will be holding myself accountable, as well as those that I have relationships with. it's just going to be a year of growth. And I'm speaking everything, anything positive, anything good. It's all going to happen in 2020 for all of us. Okay. I'm just going to start with speaking that into existence. So yeah, so 19 was overcoming myself. And I really hope that I was able to, share some things and maybe even influence some of the lessons and things that have happened in your life, or just helping you go forward in 2020 with some perspective and understanding of yourself, and maybe even some things that you want to improve on in 2020. I hope that I was able to encourage you and leave something on your heart. So thank you guys for watching. If you're watching this in 2020, Happy New Year. And I am speaking all positive things into you and into your life and into your situation. So Happy New Year. And I'll see you in my next video. Bye.